Final test in this Lions series, folks, and the Wallabies avoid the sweep in what I think was pretty comfortable enough win for them in the rain and lightning in Sydney. They've taken it out 22 points to 12, which, if I'm not mistaken, makes the aggregate score in this series 68-67 to the Lions. So potentially a little bit closer than was expected. I know you could argue that, well, the Lions had already, sealed the series, so they maybe didn't have as much to play for. Wallabies wanted to show a bit of pride in the gold jersey, but I swear these Lions guys really wanted that sweep. There was a lot of feeling in this game. Handbags, pushing, shoving. There wasn't any red cards, although Dan Sheehan was maybe a little bit lucky that his shot on Tom Liner didn't get picked up in real time, and credit to Tom Liner for not trying to sell it and get the TMO to investigate that one further, because he would have been, the way they play the game these days, in the rights to do so. But yeah, the line out for the Lions really struggled. They had a whole heap of handling errors. The Wallabies guys just looked to handle the conditions better. They just seemed to be slightly more motivated. I mean, sometimes that's a bit cliche to say they wanted it more, but you really feel like the cliche was true in this one. The delay for Lightning of like 40 minutes as well perhaps allowed the likes of Taniela Tupou and Will Skelton to play a few more minutes than they otherwise would have. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. We'll go through some of the key events and stats, and then I'm going to go to bed because it's like almost flipping 1 in the morning here. 40-minute delay didn't help my sleep schedule, that's for sure. Early momentum with the Lions, you felt, because Byrne stole some Aussie line out, and then the Aussies were getting pinged at the breakdown. But the first real kind of momentum swing the Wallabies way came from Billy Pollard, who stole some ball at the breakdown. And yeah, they did that a few times, the Wallabies. You feel like in those clutch moments when they are under pressure in their 22, somebody found a way to get themselves over the ball and get themselves out of dodge. And then the Wallabies got the first points on the board as well. Dylan Peach, his first test game up against the Lions, in for Potter, who was injured. He managed to go over in the corner. It was Suoliti with the nice try assist. Good to see that guy, showing what he can do with his wee footwork, and getting Tommy Freeman to come bite in a little bit off the wing. Gave Peach just enough space to go over. So missed conversion, but 5 points to 0. And to be fair, that play all started just from a 5-metre scrum for the Wallabies attacking the Lions end, and that came from Tom Wright with a nice wee grubber kick through, which the Lions fullback Keenan had to gather, but then he just got shoved back over the line by, I think it was Peach and somebody else. So yeah, smart play from the Wallabies, man. It is piddling with rain. So play to the conditions, make the other guys run backwards and track back, pick up that ball and just smash them in the tackle. So, and they were smart enough to wait for him to stand up as well, because sometimes when the guy's on the floor, the guys get overeager and they get in there before he gets a chance to take his feet. So really well played for the Wallabies. 5 points to 0, early lead. The Lions had their turn to hit back, and it's been, like last week, it was a little bit of a theme in terms of the Wallabies got that lead, and you felt like coughed up some kind of soft points, but not so much this week. Like the Lions had 10 plus close range-ish phases on attack against the Wallabies. And look, the heavens really opened as well. Like sometimes it was seemingly drizzle, but other times it was absolutely bucketing down over there in Sydney. Dylan Peach smashed Freeman, and then McCright, I think, won a penalty. So first it was Pollard, then it was McCright. These, as I say, important moments in terms of getting your team out of dodge. And then you just felt like the Aussies were winning the physical battle, which is not something you could say they did for the 80 minutes in the game last week against the MCG. They did it for half the game, and it was a question that I was wondering about how that would go this game. As I said, maybe the lightning break has a factor in it, but yeah, they were just doing stuff like, holding the Lions guys up in a tackle, making a maul, making that maul a turnover for the Wallabies, winning penalties at scrum time. So just the big physical stuff, which is traditional as rugby. Teams who do these and win these battles tend to do pretty well, and it was looking promising for the Wallabies. Then you had a bit of handbags on 22 minutes. It was definitely fiery between both sides. Skelton Ended up getting his team march 10 metres for a bit of pushing and whatnot. The referee let a wee bit go, I feel like, and I don't have too much of a problem with that. I would rather he let the boys kind of push each other around a bit than stop every moment and overanalyze everything. I'd rather just let them get it out of their systems, tell them to cut it out, and then let's just get on with the game. I feel like that's better. I mean, you can go down the kind of strict school principle route if you want to, but it's just a lot more referee intensive rather than player intensive, which again, in big matches, I'd rather see the players doing their thing. There's obviously a line, you got to draw it somewhere, but yeah, that's where it was for this one. Had a key moment on 28 minutes, I feel like, because the Lions' defence held. After a lot of phases, they conceded a penalty. The Aussies went for the corner, and their maul was shut down. And I felt like, man, the Wallabies they've had a lot of chances. They've certainly had the better of the game, but they're only 5 points up for it. And then a few minutes later, they ended up going for a 3-pointer. I felt like it was a little bit like they're 8 points to the good now. It's like a 2-score lead, better than 1 score, but it didn't feel like great value. And I was having flashbacks of last week, thinking Lions can come back from 8 points easy as. It didn't feel like enough value from it, but yeah, I mean, also test match footy thinking is take the 3. Points are on offer, take the 3, make a 1-score lead, a 2-score lead. And I felt like, well, if at least you take the restart, you exit, you don't concede soft points like last week, you're fine. And they were able to do that well enough, I guess, because Hooper was able to get over the ball, won themselves a penalty at the breakdown after the Lions had won a penalty at scrum time. So it was at least they didn't take the 3 just to concede a 5 or a 7 from a Wallabies perspective. But yeah, the Lions held scoreless in the first half. Itoje going off before the half-an-hour mark certainly didn't help, and you feel like that really affected the Lions' line-out. I mean, it wasn't only Itoje they were thrown to by any means, but yeah, him going off was not helpful, and then Liner had to go off for the Wallabies as well. Sheehan really clocked him good. They showed a replay of that way after the fact. Way too late for the official to do anything about it, but you better believe if that had been spotted in real time, it was going to be a card for Sheehan. Just the only question would be what colour. If I had to take a stab, I'd probably say he gets a 20-minute red. Initially yellow, then the bunker might upgrade it to red. Maybe, if I've taken a stab at it. You let me know your thoughts. Halftime stats, the Wallabies have had the run meters, 144 to 105. They've had the clean breaks, 2-zip. Defenders beaten, 11-4. They've had 61% possession. They are doing fine. But they're only 8 points up, which, again, after last week, doesn't by any means seem unassailable. Second half, we get more handbags as James Ryan gets absolutely KO'd on the leg of Will Skelton. Hopefully James Ryan's all right, because he was certainly knocked out very cold, which was not pleasing to see. And then there was, like I said, handbags. The Lions guys were blaming Nick White. I didn't see what Nick White did over it, but the referee was over James Ryan anyway, stopping the game. But it all just blew up again, and this time it was the Lions that copped a penalty for it. But they stopped the game for lightning anyway, for 40-odd minutes. It's not something that happens in my neck of the woods, but someone did mention to me the other day that it had happened in a league game recently. So, yeah, the weather was pretty hairy. So it was an unusual one, because like at halftime, you'd seen Joe Schmidt in the sheds, absolutely animated, revving the boys up. He sent them out there for 2 minutes, and then they had to come back in and just kind of chill. You saw Finn Russell just like on his phone, having a wee play. Some of the guys were trying to stay warmed up on their exercises and whatnot. Some guys just put jackets on. It was bizarre. But we sit for 40 minutes, and then the game resumes. But as I said, for some guys like Skelton, because he was saying at halftime when they did the on-field interview that he was pretty gassed, and he was only planning on playing, I think, 10 or 15 more minutes. Like, a wee break maybe came in handy. It certainly changes the nature of the game. Game resumes. There's a lot of errors, but again, it's where Tupou has a massive carry, passing Morgan and Russell, but he ends up knocking it on. Just the ball just kind of slips out of his hands. The Lions lose the next 2 lineouts. As I said, it's just kind of errors both ways. And then another Lions error, which is Aki was dropping a lot of ball. I don't know if I've seen, that's one of the worst games I've seen Bundy Aki play in terms of his ball handling. Goodness me. But another Lions handling error leads directly to Wallabies points. It's just like Lions attack, shifting the ball left. think it was Kinghorn, giving it to that man, Bundy Arki. He drops it, Jorgensen pounces, and he is gone. That dude is flying. Nobody gets near him, and it's converted 15 points to 0. That one is, that one is starting to look, I guess, kind of eerily familiar to last week. It's a 3-score lead, but again, by no means looking unassailable. Referees had some interesting moments, like they stopped the game to have a look at a Nick White and very nothing shoulder-on-shoulder moment. That's going to fuel the conspiracies that everyone was saying that the officials given all the 50-50 calls to the Lions, because that was not worth stopping everyone's time for. Like, I figure if the TMO is going to stop the game to look at some foul play, it better be pretty ironclad stuff. It couldn't have been much further from the truth, especially in the context of the game when they missed the Sheehan one, as I said, in the first half. But hey, that is what it is. Lions did at last get themselves on the board through Jack Morgan. Close range phases, and it all started with Keenan's basically high ball. They kicked it to him, and he took it really well in the air. He dropped a few balls as well, but it didn't feel as egregious as, Arki's was more just like passes. But yeah, that was a great play from the Lions to get themselves on the board. It took an hour, but they got it done because the Wallabies defence had been pretty solid compared to last week, where it was a little bit passive. Aussie pressure in reply, which was needed, you felt like, for momentum, because if they had really taken that points conceded to heart, it could have gotten messy for them. But no, they managed to put the pressure back on. They ended up getting yellow card warning the Lions, too many penalties conceded. Kelleher ends up copping the yellow card, and the Lions defend for days. But that man, Tate McDermott, he is the ultimate halfback replacement, because he is such a good sniper. He is so good at just doing that kind of try to sell it with the eyes dummy, and then snipes, reaches out, gets the ball to the line. He's a physical halfback, so did really well. 22-7. I feel like the Wallabies are always winning it from there with 10 to go. I felt like I gave a wee kind of fist bump for the Wallabies, because I didn't want them to get swept, even though, as I said, would have been kind of historic from a Lions perspective. Nah, it was great to see the Wallabies really fired up. Suoli'i ended up putting a big hit on Byrne to stop a tackle, but there was another penalty infringement that the TMO had a wee look at and gave it for Donaldson off the ball tackle on, was it Ben Earl? And then from that final field position, the Lions did get the final try of the game. It was Stewart who was able to go over after a bunch of phases after a maul had gone close. But yeah, that gives the Lions the aggregate victory, like I mentioned, by a point. Otherwise, you could have argued the aggregate victory would have gone to the Wallabies. But yeah, pretty good value for this one, the Wallabies. I reckon Lions, as I said, line out 76%. Not going to get it done. Way too many handling errors. Like the turnovers conceded was 13 to 11, which is only 2 difference. Doesn't seem like an end of the world, but the Lions only had 43% possession. How do you have that much less ball and that many, and you have more turnovers conceded? There should be more ball, more coughed up ball in theory, but nope, not for this one. The Lions were just not careful. I mean, both sides' tackle percentages are great in the 90s. The Wallabies one's a little bit higher. Makes sense in the conditions. It wasn't the game where guys were able to get free as much as if it was dry. But I mean, the run meters 299, 257, the possession 57-43, the better line out, like just so many stats go in the Wallabies' favour. Individuals, Hooper, 15 carries from him, really busy, stepping up for Rob Valentini. Ikitau looked really direct on the carries. Like if it wasn't McDermott getting that final try for the Wallabies, you felt like it was going to be Ikitau. He was looking hungry, 11 carries from him. Jorgensen, 3 clean breaks, 94 metres. Looks sharp, the youngster, so very good. Arki, 3 turnovers conceded, as I mentioned, but just not one of their days. I think Keenan was probably their most threatening, attacking looking threat, as I said, the Lions, but it just never really got going for them. But yeah, they'll still be happy to get the series win and the aggregate win by a point. I'm going to go to bed because it's now past 1 in the morning. It's been a pleasure to talk some British and Irish Lions series with you guys. We now wait 4 more years for the next one when they're heading this way to NZ. Welcome any of you rugby fans from around the world to our shores for that one. Maybe we can catch up for a beer. If you want to buy us a beer for the Lions tour videos across the series, link down in the description. If you want to get a Lions jersey, they'll be on discount now because the tour is done. celebrate the victory of the tour. Link down in the description to the Lions store. They're an affiliate of the channel. I've even got the Wallabies store as an affiliate of the channel too, if you want to celebrate the Wallabies getting up for this final one. You guys take care of yourselves. I hope you enjoyed the game despite the lightning break, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.